Loneliness. It's a word often tied to sadness, isolation, even fear. But in the right setting, it becomes something else entirely. Something introspective and transformative. In Ghost of Tsushima, loneliness isn't an absence, it's a companion, a silent presence beside you as you ride through the golden fields, walk under falling cherry blossoms, or kneel at the graves of those you live lost.
Yumhige samurai!
Most open world games try to impress with scale. NPCs shouting on crowded streets, non-stop icons on the map, explosions, dialogue, missions, movement. They are loud, sometimes exciting, often exhausting. You are rarely alone, even when there's no one around. Ghost of Tsushima takes the opposite path. It embraces silence. It invites you to ride for minutes without distraction, to listen to nothing but the wind, birdsong, and the gentle clink of your armor. This isn't just design minimalism, it's emotional design. It builds space for you to feel, to reflect, and in doing so, it allows the world to feel more alive. Not because it's packed with things, but because it leaves room for you. Let's talk about silence, real silence. In Ghost of Tsushima, silence isn't emptiness, it's atmosphere. Whether you're walking through a burned village or sitting at a shrine, the game often chooses to say nothing. There's no music pushing emotion onto you, no HUD breaking immersion. You become attuned to your surroundings. The rustle of leaves, the echo of a distant flute, your horse hooves against your dirt. This silence creates intimacy with the environment, with your thoughts, with Jin Sakai. When the wind guides you, it feels spiritual. When a fox leads you, it's mystical. Every moment becomes about being present. Few games allow that, even fewer design for it. Jin Sakai is alone. Not always physically, but spiritually. And that's important. The lone warrior is a myth as old as storytelling itself. From samurai epics to cowboy westerns. But in Ghost of Tsushima, loneliness isn't just an aesthetic, it's the core of Jin's character arc. He is caught between worlds, tradition and change, loyalty and rebellion, family and self. And as the story unfolds, the people closest to him either die, abandon him, or question. Jin becomes the ghost, not just of the Mongol's fear, but of his own identity. He haunts the island. He hides his face. He walks alone, not because he chooses to, but because the world has left him no other path. Nature in Ghost of Tsushima isn't just a scenery, it's an emotional amplifier. When you're mourning, it rains. When you find peace, the sun breaks through clouds. When you duel, the wind howls. This isn't realism, it's emotional design through natural symbolism. It reflects not just the land, but the player's state of mind. Every color, every weather shift and environmental detail echoes your emotional journey. The island feels alive, not because it reacts to you like an AI system would, but because it resonates with you like a mirror. Ghost of Tsushima invites you to pause. Write a haiku, take a bath, reflect on loss, remember a loved one. Most games only reward action. This game rewards stillness. When Jin writes a haiku, the game doesn't rush you. You look around, listen, and choose. It's a rare moment where a game lets you feel poetic rather than just reading poetry. These small moments matter. They punctuate your journey. They turn Jin's warpath into something deeply human. The movement system in Ghost of Tsushima is fluid, rhythmic, and oddly calming. Even in combat, there's a grace to Jin's motions. You flow like water, not just as a fighter, but as a presence in this world. Combat isn't chaotic, it's a deadly dance. Exploration isn't about waypoints, but about curiosity. This rhythm is part of the game's emotional tone. You move through Tsushima like someone who belongs there, someone who has walked these forests many times before. Being alone in Ghost of Tsushima doesn't mean being empty. The island is full of life, animals, spirits, and memories. You are constantly surrounded by signs of something greater. When you follow a fox or bow at a hidden altar, you engage in a quiet conversation with the island itself. These are not quests in the traditional sense, they are rituals, and rituals are what turn loneliness into purpose. Ghost of Tsushima doesn't hold your hand, doesn't flood you with markers or checklists. It simply points with wind, with light, and with suggestion, and trusts you to follow. This trust makes your journey feel like your own. It respects your pace, it gives you space, and in that space, something rare happens in gaming. You feel present, aware, and connected. You are not playing a game, you are being in a place. Loneliness in Ghost of Tsushima isn't just about physical solitude, it's legacy. Jin Sakai carries the weight of a name, a clan, and a code that no longer protects the people it once served. By the end of the story, Jin has no house, no family, and no allegiance. Not truly. The very code that raised him now shuns him, and even the victories he achieves come at personal cost. You don't just play a warrior here, you become a vessel of a dying age, a samurai without a code, a man without a place. That sense of being unmoored is the deepest loneliness of all. After the final battle, there are no fireworks, no final cutscene that ties everything neatly. You're simply still there, riding, wandering. The world continues, but quieter. The war is over, but the wounds remain, and the island once again becomes a mirror, reflecting who you are now that everything has changed. This quiet aftermath is rare in games. Most wrap up, but Ghost of Tsushima lets you sit in the stillness. Not everyone will explore that post-story space, but those who do find something rare. A game that honors grief, reflection, and the quiet weight of survival. Loneliness in Ghost of Tsushima also speaks to something culturally rooted, a reverence for nature, for silence, and for internal struggle. The game draws from Japanese storytelling traditions, especially those of the samurai and ronin. These figures often wander alone, not because they lack purpose, but because that purpose isolates them. The game's aesthetic choices, the wind instead of a compass, HAIKU instead of stat boosts, a final duel as the emotional climax, all echo that tradition. You are not meant to conquer the world, you are meant to witness it, understand it, and eventually leave it behind. What if loneliness isn't a theme but a design philosophy? Every system in Ghost of Tsushima, from its open exploration to its storytelling to its music, supports emotional space where other games fill, this one empties. Where others reward speed, this one rewards slowness. This isn't just a world you're meant to explore, it's a world you're meant to feel. And in that feeling, in that silence, the game finds its greatest strength. The director's cut of Ghost of Tsushima doesn't just add more content, it deepens the emotional core of the story. Iki Island is different, wilder, more chaotic. It doesn't welcome Jin, it confronts him. Here, the game abandons heroism and throws you into memory. Not history, not myth, but trauma. Jin must face not the Mongols, but the wounds left behind by his father's death. Wounds he spent his whole life hiding behind samurai discipline. The eagle, the antagonist of Iki, isn't just a threat, she's a symbol of grief, of poisoned memory, of the voices we tried to silence. And the island itself becomes a kind of spiritual trial. The gameplay may be familiar, but the tone shifts. What was once about saving an island becomes about saving a fractured mind. Iki doesn't expand the world, it turns it inward. And in doing so, it reminds us sometimes the scariest journey isn't through enemy lines, but through your own past.
Hiding in darkness. My father's hand reaching up. Free at last from life.
We live in a world of noise, constant input, constant distraction. But Ghost of Tsushima offers something else: silence, space, and solitude. In its open world, you're free to be alone, not in the way that isolates, but in the way that opens you up to the wind, to the past, and to the land. And maybe that's why, when we think about Ghost of Tsushima, we don't just remember the battles, we remember the moments in between. The quiet rides, the gentle flute, the pause before the storm. Because in this game, loneliness isn't something to be fixed, it's something to be felt. And that makes all the difference. Leaving Ghost of Tsushima isn't easy. It's one of the few open world games that feels like a place you lived in, not just passed through. Every hill you climbed, every path you took, every duel, every whisper of the wind, it stays with you. This isn't a world you finished, it's one that quietly lingers. So when you ride through Tsushima one last time, there's no victory lap, just a gentle ache of goodbye. And in that quiet farewell, the game says more than any ending cutscene ever could.